Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us on Child of Light Chapter 2. For those of you just joining, I will leave a card in the top right corner at the end of the video for Chapter 1. Don't forget, if you like this kind of content and would like to see more, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the game. So, in Chapter 1, we talked a bit about the Princess Stone, getting counter while breaking down Aura's skill sets a little bit, Now that we're in Chapter 2, they're going to start introducing more types of enemies, just like the one on screen right now. This is where, just like any other game, you're going to want to start prioritizing your targets based on weakness, primarily, with some exceptions, including, but not limited to, the colors, the enemy colors, because they tend to show their elements. Green and brown would be Earth, which is weak to fire. Blue would be water, of course, weak to lightning. Orange and red would be fire, which is weak to water. And then white and gray would be dark, which is weak to light. Now, just to keep in mind, not all of them have elemental weaknesses. Some of them are just vulnerable to magic. So even if you're hitting them with magic and it seems like it's still able to trigger more damage than your actual physical attack, that may not necessarily mean it's weak to that element. That's just something to keep in mind. Now, there always is an alternative in terms of magic. Being some oculi change the elements of your attack, which I don't personally recommend them. However, if it works for you, use it. That is the main part of all of this. You don't have to follow everything I'm saying because everybody's playstyle is a little bit differently. This way of playing through the game is one that I found when I was running a solo Aurora only playthrough from a fresh start, using no Firefly at all, really. In battle, no slowing, stuff like that. I limited my gameplay on that one to having a more challenging experience, and it was fun, and there's some things I figured out by doing that. Guides and walkthroughs are just to give you information on why you should do these things, why, you should do this. Nothing is really set in stone, though. The way you decide to build your paths should suit your playstyle. This goes for a variety of games. You can always get out of your comfort zone and out of that bubble and try to do playstyles that you're not really familiar with to learn them, but it's always best, especially in the beginning, to find your playstyle and find what works for you. Because what works for me maybe might not work for you. It's just one of those situations, And this build you're seeing now, like I said, was pretty much my solo Aurora run build from a fresh start. But it's not just the build, it's also targeting specific quests in the game, because there are more quests in the game, not including blights, that you don't really necessarily need to do. The ones you're going to want to focus on are the ones for the Stardust and specific oculi. Anything other than that, unless you really just want to complete the game and go for 100%, then there you go. I mean, because everything resets every time you have a new game, everything resets. So you're able to repeat all these quests along with everything else you got over time. So you can build a very powerful character, no matter what. I feel the most useful overall, being everything resets a new game. You can endlessly reproduce the result of one Princess Stone every playthrough, whether you grind or not. And I say whether you grind or not because even if you don't have the DLC to start off to be able to bring that Brilliant Diamond into the game very early, all the fighting that you're going to be doing throughout the game and all the chests that you're going to get, you should by that point be able to make all of this, without having to sit there and overly grind. Now we're coming up to a puzzle. One of the... it's a very simple puzzle still. They start introducing variations to puzzles. This is one thing I quite like about the game. You still are on your training wheels right now, so to say. So they're introducing a slightly harder puzzle to you that you will be doing puzzles similar to this. Just like in the beginning of near the end of Chapter 1, before you get into the tree, they show you a type of puzzle that's going to be throughout the game. just like this. There's going to be puzzles just like this throughout the game. I don't consider that a spoiler or anything. It's just they're showing you how to do these things before giving you your wings, I guess you could say. It's kind of funny that I say it like that, but hey, you know what? It happens. It happens. Now right here, I did fail to jump once. I thought I had it, but apparently I didn't. I was just a wee bit off. It happens, you know. I left it in there this time so you guys can see, you know, I don't just jump perfectly and everything. There is no full perfection to this. You know, I make my mistakes as well. I mean, you figure I've probably played through this game about 5 times or so, fully. First, when it first came out on the PS3, way back in the day. And then more now recently on the computer. Now, we're going to be following the same path pretty much. You're going to want at least level 5. Even if you're not following this path down to a T and you don't go for counter, having level 5 at least gives you a little extra of an edge. But like I said, it's not fully needed to be able to do this. And as you can see, right, even if that gargoyle type creature is dark, I'm targeting the ghost, and then I'm physically attacking the other one. Why? Because the ghost will always be a one-shot with that spell. At least the way she's built up right now. I'm not too sure without all the Stardust. It may be similar, or it may take 2 hits. But you don't want to waste all of your MP, especially an expert. Now, if you're playing casual and you're using your MP like this, make sure to grab the 2 bushes on the side, at least, just like that. But see, in expert, it's only blue. You can't get magic and MP and HP through this game on expert in battles. They added that, I guess, for a little extra difficulty, because it does make it a little easier and a little more life-saving when you're playing casual and you have that. But it's understandable because, like they said, casuals for the story, mainly for the story. Like, the combat is just not so difficult at all. Not to say playing expert or playing new game makes the combat that much more difficult. It just makes it to where you really got to start blocking and stuff more. Because if they start just pounding into you, you know, you're gonna be in for a rough time. Because they will hit you hard. They will. My Aurora, my main game is beefed up through 3 full games with all the Stardust going to her, making her have literally almost the highest stats of every single character in the game, respectively, pretty much. And she still gets whacked. And that's not including critical hits. Now, we're getting into our first boss battle. This is going to introduce you into some bosses. Now, because, whether you know or not, you always want to attack the guy in the back, right? Because, 1, he hits a little bit harder than the guy in the front when he's not using his charge, his gathering strength move, the Elysium Gate. Jupiter's Spear deals about 7 damage in this game, but that decapitation from that guy deals 9. Plus, he has the ability to haste and heal a little bit. He's your primary target, because you let them keep hasting through this bar like this, it's going to be and make for a terrible time, just in my opinion. The haste doesn't last very long, but it does make a difference. And as you see right there, he hit me with an 8. And they are just hauling. Now here, I was being a bit risky, right? Because I wanted to take the guy out behind him as fast as possible. Pretty much. You know? So, I started being a little more risky. And that kind of almost killed me, actually. Because right here, you'll see I had to defend. And I got lucky right there where I was able to defend before he did whatever he was about to do, because getting hit with that 7, and potentially being at a 14, if he was to critical, that would be exactly 14. So he could have mopped the floor with me and game overed me right there. Now, in this game, you will see the counter pop off a couple times. In this fight specifically. And here we are, we're one hit away from being able to kill the guy in the back. But, being he gathered strength, I figured it was a better idea to block. Because the special moves in this game, when they're gathering strength like that, they can hit very hard. Very hard. Like, you see, normally he hit a 7, but guarding out, I'd get hit with a 4, but when he did that, not only did he set me back on the timeline, but he hit me with a 7. You know? So, it hit somewhere around like a 10, maybe an 11, I'm gonna say. And right here, you're gonna see the counterattack starting to put in work as I'm sitting here ripping into him with that giant sword. With a beautiful dodge as well. You gotta love when you dodge and counter in this game. It just feels so good. I mean, maybe it's just me on that end, but dodging and countering, when you do perform it, it feels very good. And then there is the boss fight. You're going to get some magic dust, and now you released the seer, as we're about to see. And now we're going to be greeted by another cutscene. And just like the last one, it's also a very beautifully made one. I like the way they did the stained glass.
Once the sun shone upon a land of sequined valleys and peaks of white. And at night ruined castles glowed with alabaster light. From the stars and the crescent moon, a queen of light ruled this rambling place. Each night she walked the palace alone, her luminosity dawn's own face. Until one night there was no trace. The queen had vanished, and with her the light. Dark resided in its place, the usurper, Umbra, hid from sight. She sent her daughters in her stead, the sun, the stars, and the crescent moon. They pilfered from the sky, extinguished them with the monsoon. Then Umbra's dark creatures conquered the land. Our lives soon snuffed out by a wave of her hand.
Madam, thank you for the story. But now I wish to wake. So dull my speech you fell asleep? What I speak is real, not fake. All around us lies the land of Lemuria. I am afraid this is not a dream, Aurora. The only way is a magic link. A mirror behind the throne. Stolen by Umbra, Queen of the Night. The sole path home is to banish the night. Bring back the stars, the sun, the moon, the light. No, unacceptable. My father waits. The firefly said you'd help me post haste. I have a name, you know. Do not despair, my dear. I created Ik Nihilus to aid you. I might have pronounced that wrong. Anyway. A bug the size of a pin, no good I fear. Never shall I recover. The sun, the stars, and the moon. Do not despair, my dear. For the sun and the moon seek the highest and the lowest room. First, go back from whence you came. Past the altar on which you woke this day. Through a tree of thorns, sharp and tangled. Seek help along the way. And what of the stars? How will I reach the skies? Why, child, the answer lies above you. Open your eyes. And right here, you are going to get the first one, the stars, giving you those nice little wings. Now, I have a little theory I'm going to throw in here. I'm thinking that the person that came out of the mirror was potentially the mother of Aurora. Just a theory. Just a theory. Maybe I'm so far wrong, but after playing this game so many times, it seems a bit logical. Now listen carefully. Keep that charmed crown upon your brow. Never remove it. Clear? One last thing before I go. If you should ever despair, my dear, thank you. Exactly what does it do? Sorry, child, I cannot hear you. Goodbye. Wait, but I must know, my father, is he alright? Surrounded by endless night. If you like this chapter, chapter 2 of Child of Light, do consider to subscribe. I plan on continuing to release each and every chapter.
And so Aurora wandered, the twilight forest far from home, starlight only to guide her, except for a firefly alone. Anxious for the comforts, a family who could not trace her, searching for the sun and moon, a father to embrace her. And somewhere in the night, perched upon a throne in the dark, waited Umbra, the usurper, to snuff out Aurora's spark.